Hi guys, just wanted to pop up a wee video that shows you how I make my own traveller's notebook inserts. So these are a couple here I've made, and all I'm using is some 12 by 12 scrapbooking paper for the cover, and you can use whatever weight paper you want for the insides. So here in New Zealand we are metric, and so the paper I have is A4, which is perfect because it is the exact height of the traveller's notebooks. So all I have done is trim down my 12 by 12 paper to the same height as the A4 paper, which is 21 centimeters or 8 1/4 inches. So then I've got my A4 paper for the insides, but I don't need to do anything to that, don't need to trim it at all just yet. So all I'm doing is taking a few sheets and folding them in half. And then I'm going to fold down my cover paper as well. So the only thing to bear in mind is we do have room to trim here, so it's important to make sure that wherever you're folding it, if you've got a focal point that you want on the front, that you're folding it so it's not going to be on the fold. So once you've got your cover and your insides, I just stick the insides into the cover, and this is when we join the two together. Now I have made them before. You can run it through your sewing machine, just stitch it down the middle. You could hand sew it even, but I find by far the easiest way is to use a stapler, except I don't have a long arm stapler, I've only got a regular stapler, so I just have to cheat a little bit. So I've made a wee template for myself, and where these staple holes are, all I did was staple it and then carefully pull the staples out. And I'm just going to use that as a template to punch some holes in the paper before we do our faux stapling. So I'm just using a stitching mat, and I'm just going to clip the paper to the covers just to make sure it doesn't shift while I'm doing this. I just line up my template with the fold that I've already made and then punch 2 holes. I stick in my unstapled staple, flip it over and just fold the arms of the staple down, and that's our first fake staple in place. Then just flip the book round and repeat that on the other side. Once your 2 staples are in place, you can remove the clip, just give it a wee fold, and now we're just going to trim it down. So the size we want is 11 centimeters or 4 1/4 inches. So I'm just lining that up on my cutting mat, and I'm going to use my craft knife just to trim off the excess. So just when you're cutting, just do a few cuts with just a moderate pressure. Don't try and drag through and cut all of them in one go. That way you run less risk of cutting your fingers. So when you're working with letter paper, it's slightly different. This time we're going to be folding it portrait rather than landscape. The paper I've got is quite a heavyweight card, so I'm only going to fold each sheet singly. It's only going to have 3 sheets in it, which will give the traveller's notebook 6 pages. So then just slip them inside each other, and that's your insides done. So this time we're going to be cutting the top rather than the side. So I am just going to not bother trimming down my 12 by 12 yet, and again I'm just being careful of where I want to fold it because I want these yellow splatters to be on the front cover. So I'm just making a fold, popping the insides inside the cover, and now I'm going to trim it to the correct height, which again is 21 centimeters or 8 1/4 inches. And now that I've trimmed it to the right height, I'm just going to repeat the exact same process that I did before of clipping the paper together, using my template to punch the holes and putting in the faux staples. And now I've put the staples in, I can trim it down. I make a wee mistake here in that it can be harder to see the paper where you're cutting from, and so I do a really poor job of cutting this the first time. If that happens, it's not a huge deal. All I did was cut maybe 1/8 of an inch off it, again just to trim it down slightly so that it's inside the inside pages, and it just gives it a neater edge. So another idea for the covers is to use up some of your smaller scrappy pieces. All I've taken here is 3 offcuts, and I have glued them together so to make a piece of paper that's going to fit roughly the size that I need. So it's 21 centimeters or 8¼ inches high, and then just enough width to make the notebook. Again, I'm just folding some inside pages, adding the faux staples, and trimming off the excess. And there you have it. I've got 3 traveller's notebooks in less than 15 minutes. If you want some ideas on how to fill up these inserts, there's a couple more process videos on the screen now. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel, and thanks for watching.